Firstly, of course, the exact pricing details are not known to anybody. But various information has been coming out in different parts of the media, quoting different sources, and nobody so far has said that they are completely wrong. But the interpretation of those numbers, how much of it is going for weapons, how much of it is going for the base aircraft, there's some differences there. But yes, basically both the earlier tender and the present 2016 deal which the Modi government has signed talk about the basic aircraft, then the weapons and the India-specific enhancements which it contains. And obviously there will be a difference between the two. The open question today, which has not been completely answered, is how much extra for what? Whether it's for weapons or for radar or for this, there is some debate regarding that. The main, I think, difference is that there are several additions to the radar and the avionics, etc., on which there seems to be a gap between the figures quoted for what India has paid for these enhancements and whether that additional payment is justified or not. Because these modifications, the French company has charged India for the research. They're not for the components going into per aircraft. So they are saying this is the amount we have spent on research, 1.4 billion euros. Whether you buy 36 or you buy 200, it doesn't matter to us, we are going to charge you. So what is happening now is, since we have bought only 36, per aircraft the cost is much higher now than it would have been if we had bought 126. And the French are on record to say that details of the systems and weaponry may be kept confidential, but as far as pricing is concerned, the Indian government, it's up to them whether they decide to share it with their people or their parliament. About 50% of the total value of the deal is the offsets, and the value of the deal is about 60,000 crores. So roughly half of that will be about 30,000, and that's the number that various people are throwing about. However, the Ambani company's share of that is likely to be only about 1/3 or less of that total amount. The problem still remains. Most of these other 70 odd offset contracts that you talk about are for very specific smaller components which some specialized companies in India have been making. The offsets which Anil Ambani's company Reliance Defense is supposed to be making are a fairly large chunk of the aircraft. Now the question arises, why Ambani's company? If anybody from abroad is going to choose a partner in India, it stands to reason that he will choose an experienced engineering company as a partner and somebody who has got good financial health. Reliance Defense has neither. So frankly, as an engineer, I would be surprised if I choose as a collaboration a partner who knows nothing about the engineering, who has no manufacturing experience, and who is already neck deep in debt. So it's a surprising choice to make, and that is why there are all these suspicions about why Ambani and why not something else. Firstly, as far as HAL's capability is concerned, there's no doubt that they are capable. In the sense, HAL has made more than 15 to 20 major weapons platforms of equivalent technological sophistication. HAL is even today making the Sukhoi, more than 240 of those aircraft HAL has made. HAL is making the Hawk trainer. HAL has upgraded the Mirage 2000 aircraft. And if you remember back in 1965 during the Indo-Pak War, Indian Air Force was flying an aircraft called the NAT, which made a big impact during the war and defeated even sophisticated American aircraft like the F-86. And the NAT, which was later called Ajit, was made by HAL. And this is not today, this is 50 years ago. So there's no doubt about HAL's competence. As far as cost is concerned, yes, any international company's aircraft being made in India will cost more in the initial period. So the first 10 aircraft will cost more. But if you're making 126, as was the case in the previous tender, the cost per aircraft, by the time you finish, would have more or less come to the same as the cost in the French case. Plus, even if it costs a little more to make it in India, any long-term defense thinking or manufacturing thinking would say it's worth it, because then tomorrow the nation has the capability of making it rather than being dependent on a foreigner. This is, mind you, defense. This is not a motorcycle or a car which I am buying. It doesn't matter if Suzuki is making it. But on a defense-related thing, if there is a war going on and I'm depending on some French company or an American company for repairing my aircraft, that's not a healthy proposition. I would rather have an Indian company making that. And if that costs a little more, so be it. The new contract, according to that, Rafale is going, Dassault is going to be supplying 12 Rafales per year. They are supplying 36 Rafales over a period of 3 years. That's 12 per year. The rate at which they are supplying is the same as the rate at which HAL was going to supply 126, one per month. HAL is also supplying at 1.5 aircraft per month, that is 18 aircraft per year of the light combat aircraft, the Tejas, to the Indian Air Force. So in terms of rate of delivery, there is no difference between the two. They are the same.